never really sure how loud to make the fucking background music. Oh, hey, Liberal Sanity Project here. What's up, mate?
Hello, sir. How you doing?
I'm doing phenomenal, fantabulous, absolutely wonderful. How are you?
I'm doing pretty good. Happy to finally get a challenge.
Oh, dick. You fucking shitface.
Congrats on getting your channel back, dude.
Thank you. It feels so nice to be back.
I feel good by proxy.
Good, you should. I got the energy today.
All right, prediction. Who's winning this?
Me. I think I'm the winner, because I always win. Hello, Aiden.
Fair enough.
Hey, how's it going?
Oh, it's going.
Is it going? Hey, man, what's up? Oh, how should I refer to you, by the way? We've talked on Twitter, but I don't know.
Huh?
Just liberal sanity project? Is that fine?
Yeah, you can call me like Lispy for short, like whatever you want.
All right,
just call him faggot.
No, I'm polite, unlike Sinatra, who's a rude boy.
Hey, faggot.
Nasty man.
Well, this is a debate, so find your inner shark.
The whole chat is just lighting up with the fact that you have an echo, but I'm sure you heard it too. It's just Hangouts. Hangouts is just trash. Everything Google owns is trash.
Wait, who has the echo?
Nobody now. All right, so just to give a little background on this matchup that's about to take place, it was about the Electoral College, right?
There you go. You got it.
I knew it was in there somewhere.
You had the easy job.
I do. All right. So, what was the original contention?
Ladies first.
I believe it. Oh, I don't. I mean, I believe in the Electoral College, and I think that originally what happened was, you Liberal Sanity Project had an issue with Sinatra defending the Electoral College, and you came on, and then I think what happened is, I got on right afterwards, and we just didn't talk directly about it. But yeah, if you want to have a debate about, I believe that the contention here, or the argument, is that I am pro-Electoral College and you are anti. That's about all it is.
Okay.
All right?
Yeah.
All right. You guys have fun. I'll just be here to tell you to shut the fuck up if you talk over each other. But I am going to go take a piss. So
okay. Well, hang on.
What a good moderator.
Thank you for hosting this.
Yeah, sorry it took a while. Last week was kind of a clusterfuck.
Oh, I saw, but I didn't want to kick a person when they were down, so I dismissed it.
Oofed.
All right, so firstly, thank you, Aiden, for doing this. I am looking forward to a challenging and engaging debate, and you sound like a lovely person, but I think your politics are utter shit. Well, this is
you know what? That's fine. But that's fine. I probably think your politics are utter shit too, but I don't have any issue with you.
We're probably going to agree to disagree. But the fact is, I know precisely what you're going to say, Aiden Paladin. You're going to say that we need an electoral college to protect small states from big states. Or you'll say that without the electoral college...
Sorry about that. It's going to happen.
Fuck, are you in a wind tunnel?
No, I live next to a fucking highway.
All right, you will say that without the Electoral College, New York and California will decide our election. You'll say that a popular vote system will be just us voting ourselves more welfare, or you'll say that we're not a democracy because we're a republic.
Okay, a couple things. I want to point out that what you just did is called inoculation theory.
Okay.
Which is, no, I'm just sorry, because I studied the debates and communication. So you've inoculated now the audience listening against my arguments, and that's true. But you have given a very reductive sort of quick view of my arguments, and not really defeated them.
We'll go more into them, I'm sure.
But yeah, pretty much that is that's correct. You've pretty much pointed out my major two or three reasons for why I think that the Electoral College should exist. And in terms of us being a democracy, not a republic, or us being a republic, not a democracy, excuse me, that's a sort of pedantic argument, but there is a distinct difference, and there's a reason for which we can get into that.
Sure.
As to why that difference exists.
Right. Okay, so here's the philosophy underlying my primary beef with the Electoral College. I have a vehement distrust of allocating power up to an elite class, and I believe that there should be a fundamental equality of citizens. But by valuing one citizen's vote as being worth more than another's, we undermine that fundamental equality. Because of the way the Electoral College because of the way it's like structured, the vote of a person who is from a small state counts for more than the vote of a person from a big state. Sometimes it's worth 4 times more. So this is an unequal system.
Sure. What the Electoral College was called when it was founded was the Great Compromise, and that's for a reason. I actually kind of disagree in that someone's vote is worth more than another person's. You can boil it down to that, sure, in terms of someone's vote technically means more. But when we look at states like Wyoming, which is the lowest populous state in the country, for example, how many, actually I don't know how many electoral votes they get, but very few, because it is representative of their population.
It's not representative. Okay. That's the problem.
So, okay. So your contention, as I'm understanding, is that it's not a 1-to-1 equal system.
Yes.
Right?
That the vote power per person is higher in a state like Wyoming than it is in a state like California. An individual from Wyoming has their vote count for 4 times that of Californians.
Sure, but there's a reason why that exists. The reason for which it exists is because people in California, if that was the case, that there was a 1-to-1 voting system, and I'm agreeing that is it quote fair that does everyone have exactly equal voting power? No, but this is why it's the Great Compromise. It is because if it were not for this, then 2 states would control, as you said, and you're right, 2 states pretty much, maybe 3, maybe 4, throw in Ohio and Florida,
maybe 5
would control. It's the 2 most populous states, though, New York and California, would pretty much control everything. Now, I don't know I know you're from Texas, I believe, right?
Yeah.
So now Texas has pretty big, good number of electoral college votes. But, what the people are, okay, so here's the problem. It should not fall to California and to New York to determine what people in Texas do and what their vote says. Because if it were the case that it was a 1-to-1 voting system, then it would not reflect in any way the people who are in smaller states like Wyoming or West Virginia. The desires of those people would never be heard or respected. And it is to protect every individual state to be able to have their voice heard in some way, because otherwise, that silent minority or whatever, they would be silenced completely.
But that's just not true. The argument that the purpose of the Electoral College is to protect small states is another one of those extremely... It's autistic, and I don't mean to disrespect you when I say that, but it's completely without merit. The Electoral College was established as a means of allowing Congress to decide who the president was. You called it the Great Compromise. It was a compromise formed on the Virginia plan. The Connecticut Compromise is what you're referring to. This is where our modern Electoral College originated, but it's not the same one. It was originally similar to how parliaments appointed prime ministers. It had nothing to do with protecting small states from big states. The Senate protects small states from big states.
Okay. If you want to get into the aspect of the college that is based on the fact that the people don't vote, that a representative votes for the people, we could get into that as well. And I would still argue that that's a better system. The Republic-style system is better because you know what? It could have gone, for example, that I think even during the election there were several delegates who were thinking about flipping their vote, even during the last election,
yes,
and not voting along with what their constituents desired. The reason for that is because, let's be really clear and honest, the average person only votes in the general election for the president if they vote at all, and already the voting, it doesn't represent the vast majority of the population. Most people probably don't vote. I don't actually know the statistic off the top of my head, but it's not the way they,
sure,
it's not 100% of the population votes.
Can I interject here?
And sure.
Okay. What you said was that that people don't vote or their vote doesn't matter. This is a byproduct of the Electoral College. It's a feature. It's not a bug. And I'm willing to bet that if you poll most people who are watching this, you will find a lot of them exist in states where their vote makes no statistical difference on the outcome of the election. For example, me, who is a red state liberal. And some of these people, there's blue state conservatives. People who argue that because of where they live, their vote doesn't matter, those people should favor abolishing the Electoral College because then their votes would matter. If it's one person, one vote, their votes count for more than it would if they're in a state that votes different. The Electoral College is winner take all.
Then consider actually voting for the stuff that happens in your state to change that slowly, or moving. That's basically how the compromise works. You can either move somewhere else, or you can try to change things on your local level in order to change them at a national level and change the way your state votes if you think the way that your delegate votes. However, my point though is because the average person doesn't vote, but even the person that does vote is politically illiterate. So I think we have to admit that, and that's why I approve of a delegate voting in the republic system. Because I think that, I think it is self-evident that if it was a one-to-one democracy, let's look at how people vote. And I mean, you can look at Trump actually as an excellent example of this. Trump was a popular win because a lot of people, myself included in fact, at the beginning, just thought he was funny. Just thought wouldn't it be fucking hilarious if we got this star elected to president? Wouldn't that be written in to be president, like how many votes he gets? Most people are stupid. This is why a one-to-one vote doesn't make sense.
Okay.
I mean, I'm not saying that our elected officials are necessarily any better, but this is another reason why a one-to-one vote is not rational.
Why? Because it would lead to demagogues? The Electoral College didn't protect us from Trump. In fact, the Electoral College was designed to prevent us from getting people like Trump, and we got Trump anyway. You have to admit that under the very system you're protecting, conceivably, the candidate you support, be it Donald Trump or Hillary Clinton, could get all 538 electoral votes, and those electors could still choose to give their votes to somebody else. So it's not even about representing the will of the state or states or the will of the people.
Yet has that ever happened?
Okay, no, that's never happened. But why should a possibility like that be available on an institutional level? That's a gaping hole. That's a gaping hole in the system.
But your alternative then is this pure direct democracy, which I don't see how that would be any better. I fail to see how that would be an upgrade. Then you just have idiots voting directly.
I think that would make the idiots more accountable for the decisions. I think that is better.
How would we be any more accountable?
Because you have a direct say. Because instead of abrogating your voice to somebody who is an elite above you, you get to determine your own destiny.
I see your point. However, it means that people are going to make bad decisions. People do not vote in their best interest.
Believe me, they've been making good decisions so far under this system. I mean, what has the Electoral College done to stop us from making bad decisions?
Well, I mean, you think Trump's a bad decision, so we're not going to agree on that. I think Trump has I am disappointed in him in many ways. But
let me cut off your argument here then. The Electoral College does not stop us from making bad decisions. Our congressmen must stop us from making bad decisions. The Electoral College is simply the means by which we elect a president.
Sure. Absolutely. And it's not that it's going to stop anyone from making bad decisions. It is I think, quite simplistic and basic way of trying to prevent anything bad from happening, but it's not totalitarian, and it's not so wrong that it's going to either ameliorate or that it's not a panacea or a panopticon, right?
I've never proclaimed it to be totalitarian. What I've proclaimed it to be was aristocratic. It's elite.
So we elect people to make these decisions for us. If you have a problem with your state, for example, and your elected officials not voting the way that you like, then you're going to have to get out there and either vote differently and try to inspire others to vote differently, or run yourself.
Okay, precisely.
I honestly think that democracy is a failure in general.
Well, then
but
what
I think
would that system matter?
What I'm sorry. Are you asking me why I think that democracy is a failure, or are you asking me
you seem to
why I'm defending this then?
The key to fixing the Electoral College to ameliorate bad decisions was to campaign on good ideas, was to run myself or vote for people who will do good ideas. We do this for Congress. Congress is elected by popular vote. Our state legislatures are elected by popular vote. Our governors are elected by popular vote. Why should the president be any different?
Because of the differential population in states. And then we go back to that, where California and New York And people in California and New York do not know, they know nothing about what it's like to live in West Virginia or Wyoming.
Okay.
They don't know anything about that. They don't know anything about it, and they don't care about those people's interests.
Sure.
And the president, electing the president, is one of the greatest things of interest to people in this country. So why then, instead, I would pose to you, should essentially people in West Virginia have no voice? Should their voice not be heard because there are more people in California
under the system
who vote all in a similar voting block?
Under the system you're describing, the people of West Virginia don't have a voice. So, I mean, let's say the split is 55-45, West Virginia goes Republican instead of Democrat. 45% of West Virginians don't get a voice in that election because it's a winner-take-all system.
The Great Compromise.
Okay, you asked me why we should operate under a system where people don't get a voice. I'm telling you that under a one-person, one-vote system, everybody gets a voice, an equal say.
And that will result in absolute chaos, I believe.
Yeah, we're doing fine now.
Well,
it doesn't stop
chaos. Evidence for that. I don't see the evidence for that. But my point would be, okay, so already I'm not even getting into the fact that there is some skeptical reasons to think that dead people voted in California and that illegals voted. I'm not even going to bring that shit up. I am going to mention it.
Then why did you just do it?
I'm going to mention it very briefly, but I'm not going to use it as an arguing point because whatever, it's contentious and I don't have any proof of it, and I know that it's dismissed. So I am going to mention it because it's a question. Because it is a question.
It's not a relevant question. Can I tackle this because I anticipated you might say something like this. The imaginary problems and future hypotheticals, to me, are not an argument. You could say that the Electoral College protects you against voter fraud. I could easily assert the exact opposite by pointing out that if somebody wanted to commit voter fraud to win an election, they only need to do so in a specific state under an Electoral College system and not on a national level. It's harder to influence 312 million, it's harder to influence the popular vote than it is the electoral vote because you only have to target a few states under the Electoral College system.
Yes, exactly.
So,
and I'm
then why is it protection?
Well, why do you think that targeting, for example, is so effective? Because I study persuasion research and have been doing it for years, and persuasion is not that simple. I mean, it is true. Do you know why people voted for Trump in states like Ohio and Pennsylvania? It's not because they're racist or something else or whatever. It's because Hillary didn't bother to go to those states.
Really? So Hillary didn't bother to go to Ohio?
You should look into the disparity of number of times that they visited each state.
I have looked into the disparity in anticipation of this very argument too. I'm sorry, but you're wrong. This is the argument that is that the Electoral College gives states a voice. Once again, the Electoral College, Aydin Paladin, does not give states a voice. The Senate gives states voices. The Electoral College empowers only a select few states, neither big nor small. It does not make candidates care about small states. It makes candidates care about swing states. So according to a study from Fair Vote, I can provide you the sources after this. The states that had the most visits and the most money spent were Florida and Ohio by both campaigns. The states that had the least amount of campaigning or money spent were the Dakotas and the Wyomings and the Alaskans. These states that you proclaim are getting a voice and getting protection. These states were never visited.
Have the lowest population, and they do have low, percentage-wise, they have low levels of Electoral College votes. So yeah, of course. I mean, this is logical. Of course they will spend more time in Florida and Ohio. That's obvious.
But if they were just trying to get the most Electoral College votes, they'd do it in states like Texas.
Hillary
and California.
Clinton never came to. I don't think she ever came to West Virginia. Let me put it that way.
Okay, that's irrelevant.
And got West Virginia. Do you know West Virginia has voted blue? They've voted blue pretty much for forever. A lot of these states that went red, they have always voted blue, or they voted blue fairly consistently, or they voted for Obama. So when you choose not to go to a state and you choose not to represent that state, that's the candidate's fault, because then the people of that state feel like they're not being represented because they're not.
You're describing a way you idealize the Electoral College and not the way the Electoral College actually is. Hillary Clinton didn't visit California either, and it was a solid blue bloc. They don't visit states with the most electoral votes. They visit swing states. If you're not in a swing state, you're in a spectator state, where you must observe an election that you have no say in.
I mean, I actually agree completely. Yes, of course they visit the swing states, and they visit the states that are swing states and have a a large number of votes in the Electoral College. I just don't okay. So I think now we've gotten a little off track. I'm trying to keep this on point.
Yeah.
Okay. So you said that I idealize the Electoral College. I don't. I think it's a better system than a direct democracy. And I only think that because I think people are, by and large, fucking retarded. I don't think people will vote. I don't think people will vote in their best interest now. And I don't think necessarily that the people they voted for to vote in their best interest is a good thing. It's just better than a direct democracy. I'm not saying it's an upgrade. I'm not.
But again,
I don't believe
you're
in
not
democracy.
justifying this. Why is it better than a direct democracy?
Because people vote dumb.
They do that in an electoral system too. Like,
at least, I agree. But here's the thing: you are at least voting for someone who will vote for you. Someone who has arguably, maybe, some experience. They at least want to keep their job. They want to maintain their reputation, right? They have a little bit more skin in the game, right?
Yes, ma'am.
So those people, there's rationale to believe that they weren't going to do anything insane. Now, they do, sometimes. Mm-hmm. But, as they often do. And I cannot deny that, because humans are unpredictable. But if you just do the one-to-one, you're going to end up, first of all, again, there are other problems with that I don't want to talk about, which is voter fraud. And do you believe in voter IDs, I guess is a question to ask. Do you believe that voter ID should be a requirement in order to vote?
No, but it's not really relevant to this conversation.
That kind of is. That's extremely relevant, actually.
Okay.
That's extremely relevant.
Well, the answer... do you want me to answer that, or you want to go on?
No, go ahead. Yes, please answer. Sorry.
Okay.
After you answer this, I'm going to jump in real quick.
Okay, the answer is no. I believe that the fairest system of democracy is the one that encapsulates the most voters. I don't believe voter ID fixes any kind of problem. I think it disenfranchises more than it helps. I don't think voter fraud has been substantially demonstrated to be an actual problem. If I asked you to give me some authority figure to cite how many voter fraud convictions we've had in the last 10 years, I would wager it's less than 100. And I know this because I looked it up. I can cite George W. Bush's own Justice Department, who studied voter fraud over a 10-year period, and he came away with 86 people ever convicted of election crimes, which is, by the way, a broader standard than just voter fraud, and that represents less than 0.00001% of all votes cast. So I don't think a popular vote system is going to magic a problem into existence that never existed before.
Okay. Sinatra, you want to say something?
Yeah, there's just a couple relevant throws here. George Soros said, "Hot sauce purse, Lamau. I'll be expecting your vote in the mail." And Cult of Krill says the 17th Amendment invalidates LSP's argument. Madrid says the better compromise altered the Electoral College to split the ballots to better reflect the popular vote. And LM says we need to disenfranchise more voters. And Nicholas Danka said Sinute Sports, hell yeah. So, the 17th Amendment.
That senators are supposed to be elected. Or, sorry, 2 senators from each state. What is the 17th Amendment? Something to do with Senate.
This is your debate, nigga. Google.
Well, shit, I don't even know what the relevance of that is.
Fucking know it up. I'm
it's something to do with the Senate. I mean, I know that.
The Senate of the United States shall be composed of 2 senators from each state, elected by the people thereof for 6 years, and each senator shall have 1 vote. So this is what you were talking about. Yeah.
Okay, so how does this debunk anything I said?
I'm not the super chatter.
Well,
I'm
shit,
not sure, actually.
Motherfucker, donate some more money and explain yourself.
I'm trying to process everything.
Also, there is a question in the chat that I want to ask, and then I'll let you guys go back to it. Are you Jewish, LSP?
What? No, I'm Mexican. I don't know if that's worse or better in your books.
Actually, that's not worse. You're fine.
Oh, come on. Like, both of us are fucking chill. Like,
I'm kidding. Come on. Holy shit, I'm kidding, woman.
All right. Okay, well, you know what the fuck
He's actually Jewish.
You know what the fuck I just went through, man. I'm
yeah. You're good.
Spooked by by people
Like
making
I said,
claims.
I'm not going to kick you when you're down. You're fine. I'm not going to do anything.
I'm up. I'm up now, homie.
Oh, good.
But
Dynamite. Devote that energy to this
But-
debate, though. I don't want to
yeah,
go back to that.
I have to. A bunch of things were said really quickly, so I have to try
Oh
to.
shit! They actually did donate more money to explain it. Senators used to be selected by state legislature.
Yeah. So
Legislature.
okay.
Again, okay. Give me more money and explain it more.
I think he means the fact that it's restricted to 2, because I believe before it was the numbers weren't equal.
No,
But then it was by population.
It was always 2. What
what am I
changed
thinking of
was
then?
that state legislatures used to appoint the Senate to represent state interests, and it changed to the people appointing their senators by popular vote. So I think what he's trying to say is the Senate doesn't represent the state anymore because the people vote for their senators, so the Senate represents the people. I'm not convinced by that as an argument, but I get what he's saying, I think. Unless he wants to donate more money and clarify again.
Save your money, Cult of Curl.
Yeah, see, I honestly don't know, and it's not, this is like not my area of expertise. I'm not the biggest fan of democracy, but I do think that it's a better system than what we have in terms of our. God, I hate these trucks. That was actually a motorcycle.
Yeah.
That what we currently have in terms of a system is better than a direct democracy because it does add basically an extra layer there and to protect against idiocy, and in addition to that, it also does, whether or not you agree, I don't see the evidence of how it does not allow for the protection of the rights and beliefs of people in states like Wyoming to have their rights and feelings heard when it comes to the election of the president of their country.
I've already explained how, because it disenfranchises the other half of these states, right? If we're doing okay, yes, ma'am.
Sorry, but then what you're talking about is in your opinion then, because the greatest majority of the population lives in these certain states that all generally tend to be homogenous in their belief, because states tend to be more homogenous in belief within self-contained than across states. So 2 states that are generally homogenous in belief should make the decision, the biggest decision, potentially, of this country for all. So 2 should make the decisions for the other 48.
But they actually don't. You keep saying this. I mean, just think of this logically. I mean, does this strike you as an ideal system for campaigning? That if, assuming these are the only 2 states, that you could just campaign on winning California and New York and then you win the election? What is the population of these places combined? And that's assuming you win every single vote in these states. Does that really sound like a winning strategy to you? Only running on winning half the country?
That's sort of what Hillary Clinton did. I mean, she didn't win, so
Okay,
maybe that's a good argument for your
Yeah,
point.
right. That's not a winning strategy.
But it is horrifying because, Sinatra and I were just out this weekend in the middle of absolute nowhere, West Virginia, and noted that, these people who live out here on these
far
farms.
off the grid, there were actually white criminals.
These people, though, they are so far removed from people who live in Manhattan, and vice versa. So why should one make the rule for the other?
Under the Electoral College system, one does make the rule for the other.
Are you saying that West Virginia and Wyoming and Kentucky make the rules for California and New York overwhelmingly?
I'm saying Ohio and Florida and Pennsylvania make the rules for everybody else overwhelmingly. If you want candidates to run on winning everybody, if you want them to encapsulate a 50-state strategy instead of like a 12-state strategy, you should be on my side in this argument. If you want them, that would be the winning strategy. Run on winning the most people in the most places. That's what a popular vote system is.
I believe that the states that everyone campaigned in the most are the swing states, the ones that they wanted to get, right?
Yeah, that's what I just said.
Both of them did that, and Trump still won. So the difference is that Trump also campaigned in the Dakotas and in Wyoming and in Kentucky, where Hillary didn't campaign. And that's why he won. Now, whose fault is that then? the fact that one candidate did not appeal to the people in those states at all. West Virginia, again, I can only, this is the state I know the most about because I've lived here. I took West Virginia history as a kid. I know a lot about it. It's been blue for a very long time. A very, very long time because of the unions, because of the steel mills.
That's a perfect example, though. Aydin, your vote counts for 0 in your state.
It's a totally red state now because Trump came here and he showed that he...
But when it was blue, what would your vote have counted for?
Whether or not you believe it, it wouldn't have counted.
Precisely.
That's the compromise.
That's not
the compromise we make.
No, if... You pivot a lot to, democracy is a failed system, but we need to get, everybody to have their votes count by the candidates visiting the most places, and that's how they win. You can't have it both ways. I mean, your vote doesn't count for anything. The Electoral College only counts half the people. Save for a select few states, most states are winner take all. So, I mean, theoretically, you could win the Electoral College by only winning 22% of the popular vote. This system is that flawed. You can have 78% of the country vote against you and still become president because this system.
Yeah, it's a compromise. It is flawed. I don't think it's perfect, and I've yet to find a perfect system of government that exists. I believe that
it was a compromise. It was a compromise. I believe me. I believe democracy is flawed too, but that's neither here nor there. It was
I think we go in opposite directions on it.
I agree with what Churchill said, which is that it's the worst system of government except for all the others. It is a compromise, but it was a compromise 200 years ago. It was, the 3/5 compromise was a compromise, and we've long since abandoned that. Why can't we adapt?
We should bring that one back, though, to be fair.
Well, the problem is, under the Electoral College system, we in effect do bring it back. Some people's votes don't count as much as others.
Yeah, but you know what I mean. We should bring it back for certain people.
You're trying to be cheeky and funny.
Yeah, a little bit.
Be a little memer, to bring some levity into it. But no, I understand your qualm with it, which is that yes, it is unfair, but I think that it's a little bit for the system that we have in place. This is a better system than the alternative. Direct democracy for a country as massive and as completely non-homogeneous as the United States is. Direct democracy is silliness, frankly. I perceive it that way. You have to look at the non-homogeneity of this country. Try to compare, again, people who live in California. I keep bringing that up, but try to compare even, and I feel bad. Look, I do feel bad, the fact that people in Southern California make the rules for the entire state, when the fact that most of the northern part of the state is red.
Yeah.
Look at the fact that in Illinois, the entire three county
there's a huge,
in the entire state.
There is a huge difference in the system you're describing, however. Because they use a popular vote system in California, the ideas have to win on their merits. They have to appeal to the most people whose votes count equally. If you want
hang on, who doesn't use popular vote? What
the Electoral
College. State? Okay, but on a state level, you said California, but yeah.
That's what
we're talking about voting for president, though.
Okay, but why is that different? Why is popular vote okay for all of these other institutions, but not for the president?
Well, I mean, I think because we're talking about levels of how important the role is, right? Is the president not the most important role in the United States government?
That's an argument in favor of more people having a say.
Okay, I'm sorry. So more people should have. Okay, everyone does actually have a say. It's just not that it's quote weighted equally, essentially. But you do all have a say. You do have the ability to spend your vote. I mean, do you know who? Like, for example, when I was I voted for Gary Johnson in 2012, and I wrote in Ron Paul in 2008. I did that despite the fact that my vote was quote pointless.
Good job.
It does actually make a difference.
No, but
I think it makes a difference in terms as a symbolic measure. It makes a difference.
Oh, it does, in that it contributes to the political capital of one candidate over a difference. But that is a great example that you just brought up. If you ask most people if they are satisfied with being locked into a two-party system, you will get a resounding no. Other parties cannot compete because of the way the Electoral College allocates votes. To vote for an outside party in this system is not only a wasted vote, Aydin, but a vote against your best interest, since it reduces the political capital of the next closest party to you.
I actually don't agree with that, and being someone who's done it twice, I don't agree. I mean, there are ways. If we have to get, I think it's 3% of the vote that an independent would have to get in order to be able to be allowed into the debates and things like that. That's what's the problem is. That we can't get to the number of votes needed, and for whatever reason. Because actually, I do think that because the average person, as I said as I began this, is politically ignorant. Okay,
and they don't vote for third parties. Because they like the binary choice. Really?
Binary choices are... Yes,
can I get a 1 in the chat if you like a binary choice?
I'm not talking about... People in this chat are politically savvy for the most part. Okay? They are. They're well, maybe not by your definition, but they're politically interested. How about that?
I'm not going to disparage chat. I think the chat is lovely.
But people who are listening to a channel like mine or Sinatra's or anything involved with, or listening to a fucking debate about, or whatever this is about the Electoral College, are going to be people who have an interest in politics. Sure. Okay? So they're not going to be the average citizen who doesn't give a shit and just sits around and watch Family Guy or, I don't know, Jimmy Kimmel or whatever, and that's what they do. Okay? Do I like the fact that it's a two-party system? No, but do I think I think that the reality is, most people probably like a binary choice. And we know this because of the social psychology of people like being part of a group. And it's very, very simple when you can say, this is my guy because I'm part of this group. I'm a Democrat. I'm a Republican. It's part of my social identity. We want to get into identity politics. This is not even part of it. This is just part of group affiliation and group identification.
But people want to identify with a group that makes no sense to identify with because it punishes their vote. You voted for Ron Paul. What did that do for you?
I felt cool about it, and then my dad told Dr. Paul when he met him, and he said thank you, and that made me happy. The point is, look, a lot of this is what I'm talking about, right? People vote based on very esoteric things. They do not vote based on logic. Now, does it mean that the people that vote for them in the Electoral College are going to be significantly better? No, not necessarily. But it is a sort of extra added layer of protection from complete retardation. People who still pretty much vote for what they want to vote for, you understand that, you know?
Yes, and usually they get it. They can observe the ramifications of their vote, but they can't under an Electoral College system because elites decide on your behalf. I mean, let's weight it differently. Instead of, Sinatra quipped about the 3/5 compromise. Let's make it a short hop from 3/5 to 1/4, because a Californian's vote is worth a fourth of a Wyomingite's votes. Instead of doing that system, let's change it to whites versus blacks. A white person's vote will count for a fourth of a black person's vote, and you can use the exact same arguments to justify it, right? You could say we're not a democracy, right? You could say, figure the arguments out. It's ultimately unequal.
Okay, so let me ask this question then. Okay, so you know that we require a majority, but not in terms of like the Senate to vote on issues, right?
I'm sorry, what?
And we do, and okay, so we're just talking about the Electoral College, but if we're talking about direct voting, people who vote for people in the Senate or in the House, right?
Yeah,
that's
a popular vote system.
Direct election. That's a popular vote system. But then that still goes to those people making decisions for the people.
Yeah, we're a representative democracy. I'm not in favor of a direct democracy. I like having representatives. I just like having representatives that can be elected instead of appointed, and that's a key difference between us.
Okay, I understand. I get that. But what if, however, the people that we elected are the people that in the Senate that the individuals in any state have directly elected vote against the wills or the desires or the wishes of the people? Is that now not fair?
No.
I mean, this is a flaw inherent in the system.
But the great thing about that system you're describing is you can punish them by voting them out. You can't do that with the Electoral College. It rewards the losers.
I'm sorry, who are the losers exactly? States like Wyoming and South Dakota?
No, the people who receive the least amount of popular votes.
Wait. Okay. Again, why should the opinions of people in the Dakotas not matter?
Holy shit!
Because
I'm
otherwise,
sorry,
their
hang on.
opinion does not matter.
I'm like getting triggered here. Let me calm myself down. Under a popular vote system, their opinions do matter for precisely as much as they matter. One person, one vote. Under the Electoral College system, half of them don't matter because it's a winner-take-all system.
It is because it's a race.
This. Huh?
Because it is a race. Yeah, of course it's winner take all, man.
Okay. You understand that if you are from one of these states, your vote doesn't count at all. Right? Like you vote for a candidate, but if your candidate's in the minority, they get 0 electoral votes from you. It's not proportional based on how many people vote. Even if it were, I would prefer
we select system. Our electors though. We select the electors though.
Yeah.
The people do that directly.
And the electors can vote against your will is the problem.
So can the Senate.
Okay, but you can punish a Senate. Firstly, we don't select the electors. We vote for a general ticket, and our electors either honor our wishes or don't. They can be faithless.
So can the senators.
But you can punish the senators. You can vote the senators out. Right? This is the electors. In this instance, the electors did not acknowledge the will of the people. The will of the people was for Hillary Clinton to be president. That's the problem with the Electoral College. We've had 5 presidents who've become president who didn't win the majority of the votes. That is a failure rate of 9% of all presidents we've ever had. Where else would you accept this kind of a failure rate?
I'll jump in a second, read super chats. The chat keeps asking, but I just wanted to throw one question out there. Do you think that the interests of people in a place like California and New York are the same as the interests of people in West Virginia or Nebraska?
No. Just like I don't think the interests of the people from West Virginia and Nebraska are the same as the interests from people from Texas. I believe that
So if they can simply outvote them just by the numbers, don't you think it would behoove of them to have their vote count a little more so it is equal?
Their votes do count for more under a popular vote system.
That's what I just said.
Yeah.
Their vote should count for more, so it's a 1-to-1 from Nebraska to California.
Yeah. Wait, are you agreeing with me?
No, I'm actually in favor of the Electoral College. They should have the same say.
Okay. Let me pose this question to both of you. Would you rather states just appoint the president? That whoever gets the most votes from the states instead of allowing people to vote? Would you rather have no say at all?
I don't understand.
Okay, would you rather have no say at all? We're not a democracy, so we don't even have an election for the president. Instead, the states get together and they appoint a president.
But I don't understand the question. The states, what does that mean?
Would you prefer this as a system? Would you prefer a parliamentary system, basically?
So what? The Senate elects the president?
Yes. Would you prefer a system where the Senate elects the president?
Not necessarily. I don't really know what would be a better system, but I think that the fact that you don't that you're okay. This is what I don't understand. That you're okay with senators making mistakes who are elected, but not okay with the fact that we elect the electors for the Electoral College system. We do that. I mean, whether or not you want to call it directly or whatever, but people choose them in the states.
Right.
They choose their
right.
So I just don't understand why one is fallible and the other is not.
Well, I think under the dichotomy you just provided, they're both fallible. But the response is that one can be punished, one can be voted out. If your electors opt to be faithless, they have no punishment. Their decision's final. We get a president that nobody wanted. I mean,
and you don't think the electors will face any blowback if they did? Because I believe that even happened during the 2016 election.
Yeah, it did. And what blowback did the electors face?
Well, I haven't looked into any of those.
They haven't faced any blowback, Aydin.
How much does the average senator get when they vote against? Because here's the thing, like for example, West Virginia right now is having a big vote about what's going to happen to our state. Okay.
Okay.
And Joe Manchin is a piece of shit. I can't stand the guy.
But, okay.
And so, fuck him. So, but the fact is, oftentimes, because of how democracy works, people elect stupid people.
Right.
But if we're going to pretend to be a democracy in any form, even though we are a representative, or we're a constitutional democracy,
we're
or
a
a republic. We're
can I deal with this? Because chat's going to say this. They're going. This is semantic and pointless. And again, I don't mean to disrespect you, Aydin. Please understand that going out. But
that's cool.
People don't know this. I sound like Trump saying that. Republic comes from the Latin word res publica, which simply means a public affair. A democracy is a type of a republican government. If you are trying to assert that we are not a democracy, you must explain to me why our Constitution states that you have a right to vote.
No, we are a democracy. We're a constitutional democratic republic.
Okay. I thought you were just going with the we're a republic, we're not really a democracy argument.
No, we do vote. We directly vote for senators and,
we're just not very good
and such
at
like
it.
that. But this is the problem. People vote dumb, and this is my entire, not my entire argument, but it's a pith of it, is that people vote stupid, and we vote for all of this stuff involved in it.
Sure.
And by the way, if the electors, that they can be punished potentially if they vote against the will of the people.
How can they be punished?
I believe there's restrictions upon them for doing that.
Before you guys go into this, I'm going to put you guys in your corner for a second.
Sure.
Zach Longby throws 5 to say, chat, you heard that? We're better than most of the country. Water Jabber so 5 to say, a California's vote is 1-1 to a Californian's vote. Just because you don't understand civics doesn't mean it needs to change. Crimson Satyr, some fucking Canadian, says, Canada and the UK both have popular vote. Choices in Canada is conservative or liberal. NDP splits to the left. In the UK, Labour conservative. No fix. Water Jabbers throws 10 to say the states have no representation in the federal government after the 17th Amendment. Your understanding of what the US is and how the union works is incredibly weak. Nice. Madrid says Nebraska and Maine already split their electoral college votes. It's easier and better change. It keeps the balance of power with the states, increases the value of the individual vote, and means more states becoming swing states. Also allows for third parties. Guns Fox said California is going to allow illegals to vote in the local and state polls and be allowed to hold local state office. So using California is an invalid point. Heretic. Cult of Krill says, if LSP really believes that the Electoral College is bad, then there is a way to get rid of it. Start a petition, get the signatures, amend the Constitution.
Can I actually respond to that?
Yeah.
So, I don't mean to cut off the super chats so quickly.
Oh, go ahead.
There actually is a method of getting rid of it that is constitutional without amending the Constitution. There's something called the National Popular Vote Interstate Compact, which is an agreement between states to simply allocate their electoral votes to whoever wins the popular vote. It's constitutional. The Constitution allows for states to determine the manner in which they appoint their electors, and that's the system.
Then vote for that.
I do.
Okay.
Let me just get through this last.
Right. Go ahead.
This last one.
Go ahead.
Madrin says using the popular vote as LSP blatantly brushed past means that rather than campaigning in this 5 to 7 swing states, only 2 states would matter. Again, change the electoral college so ballots are split by the popular vote fixes the issue. And Jordan throws 5, almost taking out. Or no, Madrid's a stream boss. Sorry, Madrid's standing strong. What are your guys' thoughts on states splitting their electoral college votes? And just now, the game doesn't change just player says, I haven't heard this brought up yet. But what about redistricting and gerrymandering? You may change one aspect, but it's still stinky. Also, someone in the chat saying this, and I wanted to bring it up. You said Hillary's win was the vote of the people, but it was actually the vote of the coasts. It was the will of the coast that Hillary won.
Nice.
I mean that is a valid point.
No, it's not. I mean, Hillary gets
How
votes
is it not true?
Because Hillary Clinton gets votes in Texas, and she gets votes in Wyoming, and she gets votes in all of these flyover states that you guys seem to think need to be represented, right? These people.
Let me ask you a question.
Yeah.
Let me please ask you a question. you want this direct democracy, but it seems as if more accurately you're a little bit irritated that your candidate didn't win. What if she didn't win? I'm just asking. If she hadn't won, please try to use a hypothetical, and I hate using hypotheticals because they don't work.
Sure.
We've seen this in science. If she hadn't won, and by the popular vote, I mean, then what? Would it still have mattered then? Because to me, it seems that this is really just an issue of because, by the way, outlets like Vox, outlets like Slate have all defended the Electoral College when it supported Obama.
Yeah, well, they're stupid.
So I'm saying Obama against Romney, was that a good thing? Was it a good thing that Obama won against Romney in the Electoral College?
Yeah.
Or would you have preferred Romney?
Well,
so you would have, under your logic, you would have preferred Romney.
No,
I believe
Romney didn't win the popular vote. Obama also won the popular vote. But let me, if you're suggesting that there's a degree of convenience politicking in this, that might be true. I don't think I'm consciously doing it, but I might very well be influenced by the fact that I'm on the losing side. That the Electoral College institutionally favors Republicans over Democrats, and so
no, I don't see any evidence of that.
Okay, what are the smallest states composed of?
But again, so I don't think you know the evidence behind this. You say small states, but again, a state like West Virginia, it's not red, it's been blue.
Okay, West Virginia is not the only state, Aydin. There's a lot of these flyover states are very red, and their votes count for more than any of the West Coast states or any of the East Coast states.
And let me tell you what, most of them voted for Obama.
Okay.
They are not the kind of like hardcore yeehaw dippity doo kind of shit that you think they are. Like, that's not true. They will vote blue when they think it's in their interests.
Right.
Okay.
And I want people to vote any way that's in their interest. And
it is not the kind of hardcore red immutable thing that it's being made out to be.
Yeah.
That is incredibly reductive. Okay.
Actually,
most of the states that you're bringing up here voted for Obama. So, and they voted blue. These flyover states that you're reducing into stereotypes.
New York, Vermont, Maine, all the New England type states, all the tiny ones, all voted blue.
They ain't that tiny, but okay.
You just brought up state size. I'm just bringing it up that they all voted blue.
Right.
I also wanted to point out, because I brought this up earlier, that certain states, and I don't have the exact citation on this, but just say some state laws provide that so-called faithless electors may be subject to fines or be disqualified for casting an invalid vote and be replaced by a substitute elector.
Right,
so
but
there
their votes
are
aren't invalidated.
repercussions.
But their votes aren't
Yes.
invalidated.
Casting an invalid vote.
No, that's not. Their votes are not invalidated. There's no.
It's just the fact that
Again,
that it hasn't
there is
happened.
no constitutional mechanism for removing a faithless elector's vote.
The Constitution does not require that electors be free to act as they choose.
It does. What are you talking about?
I'm reading directly. What is this? This is the National Archives and Records Administration.
Okay.
On the Electoral College.
Please,
I am.
Please read it to me what it says. Does it tell me that electors are bound by their state's obligations?
Are senators bound?
No, but that's not what I asked you. Are electors?
Okay. I will read you exactly what it says from the National Archives and Records Administration. Let me go down back here to this again. The U.S. Supreme Court has held that the Constitution does not require that electors be completely free to act as they choose, and therefore, political parties may extract pledges from electors to vote for the party's nominees. We know that. Some state laws provide that so-called faithless electors may be subject to fines or may be disqualified for casting an invalid vote and be replaced by a substitute elector. The Supreme Court has not specifically ruled on the question of whether pledges or penalties for failure to vote as pledged may be enforced under the Constitution. No elector has ever been prosecuted for failing to vote as pledged. That does not mean that it's not possible. And also, it sounds like, from my reading of this, that they can be fucked up in certain states if they choose not to do this. Again, this is a U.S. Government source.
But again,
and your senators can choose to vote against you too.
Right.
And there's nothing. What are you gonna do? There's nothing you can do. You can do exactly what you can do against the electors.
But I can't invalidate an elector's vote. Like again, you keep deflecting to this every time I bring it up. What state law negates an elector's vote? It can punish the electors. I'll grant you, it punishes electors. Does any state law nullify an elector's vote?
What else can you do to a senator? If they've passed a law, what can you do?
You can vote them out. It's a conglomeration of senators. If you want your ideas, I mean, this goes back to this sense of entitlement that you guys have, that people aren't going to vote the way you want. So you want to be institutionally protected. If your senators aren't voting the way you want, vote them out. It's a popular vote system. You can
vote against the elector as well.
But it's not a popular vote system, Aydin. Are you purposely misunderstanding this? No. Okay. The elector is, except in a few states. I'll grant you. It's a national election. And a national election is our one chance to come together as a country and not as a state to determine what our national destiny should be. Okay, I'm arguing that it's an inefficient system because it disenfranchises people.
Okay, and you can a senator can vote for absolutely anything that they want or anyone in Congress can vote for whatever the fuck they want and absolutely go against and wishes of their constituents who voted them in. And what's the difference exactly? When a law gets passed, let's say a national law is passed, what are you going to do? You vote them. Oh,
what, that I don't now they're like? Voted out. All I can do if a national law is passed that I don't like is vote against the senator who voted for that law. That's what I can. That's what I can do. That's what you're supposed to do in a democracy. The ideas must win on their own merits. The Electoral College doesn't allow for that. You feel entitled to an advantage because your ideas cannot win on their own merits. I mean, if you want to treat the country like it's your own personal safe space where other people shouldn't vote the way you don't want them to, this decreases the value of their votes. I mean, what if, again, I bring this back to the hypothetical. What if we structured this by whites having their votes count for less than blacks?
I don't even actually understand at this point the analogy.
Okay, states have their votes count differently based on their size. All right, what if we made races have their votes count differently based on size? Right, we have more white people than we have black people. It's about protecting the minority opinion. You can make all these same arguments. Is that an acceptable system to you?
That's not only a straw man, but that's incredibly simplistic and reductive, and not representative of all of what we're talking about. It's going out and making some kind of weird racial thing about.
I was using a hypothetical to demonstrate.
I get it.
Okay.
I get it. It's just not. It's not a very good analogy. All I'm saying, my dude.
Okay, well, explain to me why is it not a good analogy?
Because we're talking about huge swaths of people who live in different areas and who have different interests.
Right.
Moreover,
whites have different interests than blacks. So why is it not a good analogy?
I'm astounded to hear that, actually. So are white and black people are inherently different?
Yes. Whites have different interests than blacks. So why can't we structure this system this way?
White people like Marlboro Reds and blacks like Newports. We all know.
Well, you smoke Newports too.
I don't smoke Newports.
You sure did this weekend.
The fucking liquor store had.
Anyway,
do you at least understand the system I'm can you at least see how it's analogous to the Electoral College system?
I'm gonna go smoke a cigarette.
No, I cannot because black people vote 95% the same way.
Okay,
and that's Democrat. And that's Democrat. They vote for Democrats. The rest of the country does not vote 95% the same way. They vote all kind of disparate ways. They vote disparate by county. They vote disparate by state. Okay. So I don't understand. This is a very, very silly sort of an analogy, I believe.
Oh, right. But there's more white people, right? So that they vote disparately doesn't really matter if they're in the majority.
But didn't you just say you wanted to give white people half the vote or something?
No, I believe me, I don't want to. I think this is what I just described is a fucking retarded system.
I'm talking about in your hypothetical. I'm sorry, I'm trying to understand.
That's what I'm saying. The hypothetical I described is retarded, but you're defending it when it's states and not people, and I don't understand why that's any different. You could make the exact same arguments for both.
No, I do not. I don't think that's correct at all. The fact of the matter is that where people live makes a huge difference in how they vote, in how they think, in how they act, and how they live their lives.
Yeah, I don't disagree with this.
then again, now we're saying that people who live in a certain way shouldn't have any kind of vote,
No,
essentially.
what I'm saying is that
and
people who live a certain way should have their vote count for just as much as somebody who lives in a different way. That's what I'm saying.
Okay. But again, I think we get back to this basic issue, which is that we vote for our parties, we vote for our electors, they then vote for us on some level at the national level to determine the president.
Okay.
This is no different in any way, really, than electing a senator by direct democracy.
Except it's not a direct democracy. Again, you're breaking this down by state. No, it's not. Except if the minority can win, it's not a direct democracy. There is no state in the union that has loopholes that allows for the minority to be elected. Right? There's no state that doesn't use a popular vote system to elect their elected representatives. The only office that does that is the presidency. Okay, what does that matter? They're dumb either way. You're going to have dumb people no matter what. At least with a popular vote system, there's accountability for how dumb you are. You have a say in what dumb thing you do.
There's accountability for all of this. There is accountability on every level. There's accountability on every level. Not only is there accountability that's potentially upon the electors. Yes, there is. Trump's been president now for let's see, a year and a half.
Oh God, it's only been a year and a half. That's been so long.
Wow, really? Is it that hard for you every day, dude?
I struggle to get out of bed, Aiden. I just can't handle it.
Man, smoke some weed. Do something, man.
I would, but I live in a
out.
Republican state where they won't legalize it.
I live in a Republican state, and there's medical here. So I mean, anyway, my point is,
yes,
chill.
Sorry, I'm chill. I'm just playing for like comedy's sake. I'm not seriously triggered.
The thing about Trump. Whoa, now I've lost my whole fucking train of thought. Great. Fucking thoughts. Always losing their trains. God damn it. Seriously, now I lost it because I was concerned. Calm down about Trump, first of all. Shit.
Yeah, you're the one who brought him up,
man. Right. Oh, because he's been president for a year, and how many days have passed? And the answer is none. I'll go ahead and answer it for you. That he has not been that someone is not saying they're going to try to impeach him. There are checks and balances in place for all of this. I mean, the problem is you got to have something if you're going to impeach somebody.
That's an argument for the popular vote system, then, right?
Why?
Because there's still checks and balances in place. Because the minority's voice isn't going to be drowned out. They have a constitution that protects them. They have elected representatives.
They don't get a voice in the first place.
They do under a popular vote system. What are you talking about? Again, one person, one vote. Everybody gets a voice. I mean, again,
no.
Why can't
you even called them, by your own words, flyover states? That's so diminutive and insulting to the people who I know that you probably didn't mean it.
Diminutive, and I'm here advocating for them to have an equal voice to me. That doesn't sound diminutive to me. That sounds, I mean, I don't know. It's weirdly condescending to value citizens as differently, just simply based on where they live. Counties are just as homogenous as cities, right? Politically homogenous. They're just as red. How homogenous the people are should have no bearing on how valid their ideas are. So, I mean, I guess...
I would agree how homogenous people are should have no... whatever.
Then why can't you just win on ideas? Why can't you just win on getting the most people to support your ideas?
Because we're not just talking... We are not talking about mere... It's mere numbers, right? So if I have... Okay, so if I have 8 kids, then I should win against anyone else in my town, I guess, who has less, right? Like, this is this kind of silly argument, I think...
Well, hang on. Please
that wasn't a good... That wasn't a good analogy. My point is, California and New York have a huge, homogenous population that votes almost entirely Democrat. Okay,
they
except for in the north of California, yes, they do Republican, and guess what? They don't win in California.
Well, that's my point. They only seem to because it's a winner-take-all system. They only seem to because it's a winner-take-all system. Upstate New York votes differently from New York City proper.
All races are winner-take-all. Okay. You can't have some kind of tie. You can't have a consolation prize.
I'm only using that to demonstrate that it only seems like they're voting homogenously because it's a giant sea of blue in California and a giant sea of blue in New York. If you were to break this down by individual vote, you'd get purple dots everywhere.
Go look at the actual voting blocks, though, dude. I mean, it is so, and I'm talking about Southern California, and I'm talking about Manhattan and the metropolitan area. It is 85% to 95% Democrat, and that's where all the population is.
That's not
so
where
for
all
them
the
to determine.
California has 40 million people. Where does the other 260 million come from?
Look at the way that this breaks down, and you'll see why the vote goes that way. Why should
so condescending about that? Because I have.
I'm not. I'm sorry. Actually, if I was, that's not my intention. I apologize.
Yeah.
Yeah. I really. That was not. Sorry.
I don't mean to insult you. So yeah.
No, that's cool. I just think that it is absurd to say that these two states should determine what everyone else does.
I'm not. You're strawmanning me. I'm not saying two states should determine what everyone does. I'm saying people should determine what the government is. That the whole of the people should determine. Whoever has the most, whoever the majority of the people decide should be president should be president. That includes people who are from these states that you say are being neglected.
And that means that if we go by a purely direct democracy right now, people in the people who vote red will never win again, ever. And I understand why you're interested in that, because they'll never win again.
Well, no, Aydin, that's a little insulting. I am a firm believer in liberal democracy. I like the idea. Firstly, I wouldn't challenge you to this if I didn't like the idea of getting my ideas challenged.
Yeah.
Again, this is just this weird sense of entitlement to me. Why can't and you haven't answered this, why can't your ideas just win on their own merits?
Because we don't have the ability. This is, again, what makes it the great compromise.
No, please.
Yes. No, I'm serious. This is what makes it this. Because I'm saying, inherently, it's not fair. It is not fair. It is not fair that every single person does not get the exact same say in this.
Do you want a fair system?
I don't think such a thing is possible.
Okay, what do you think is a fairer system? A national popular vote or an electoral college system?
A monarchy. Whoops. But no. No,
am I being trolled, or are you serious?
No, not unless I actually do believe. I wish democracy would work. I just don't think it does. But in the event of it shit going tits up, yeah, I like a good king. But no, I think that because of the same reason, you at least vote for someone into it. We vote. Okay, let's put it this way: we vote. Yeah. We dummies. We dum-dums with no idea of what the fuck is going on. Vote for someone to vote for us, to make decisions for us. We do this with the Electoral College. It is true. We do vote for the electors, but we do it more specifically. And in terms of what actually has. Oh, here's a good one. What has greater impact in terms of long-term application to the United States? Is it the president or is it the Senate? Okay, because has Trump been able to get anything done? Really? Not a whole lot. Tax reform, yes. We got tax
which blow a several $1 trillion hole in our budget, right?
Yes,
we're gonna.
Yes. I like that. I love his tax reform. But my point is,
but I'm a fiscal conservative and I don't. Okay. Somebody has to be responsible here.
My point is, do we not vote for the Senate directly?
You vote for your senators directly, yes.
So we vote for senators directly, and that means that we essentially really do still control our democracy directly, if you want to call it that. What do we have? We have a president who is bound by all the checks and balances systems that we've described here, right? He is bound, she is bound by those and can be overturned. I mean, yes, you can make an executive order. Yes. Obama made a quadrillion of them. Right. But you can't get serious shit passed without the support of the Senate and the House.
Sure. I don't disagree with this, but again, nothing you're saying would change under a popular vote system. We would still have those same checks and balances you're referring to.
Except for the fact that certain states would not be represented. They wouldn't. They would.
It's called the Senate.
I think.
Aydin, it's called the Senate. Those states would be represented. That's what the Senate does. It represents the states.
Fine. Then I would say, you know what? Okay. But if your concern is with elites running shit for people, why do you think it's going to be better? I would ask you this question. Your concern is elites run things for other people. Why do you think a direct democracy under that kind of... why do you think that would be better? Why do you think that would somehow prevent the elites, quote unquote, from running things?
So I'm not necessarily against the idea of elites making decisions on our behalf when it comes to representative democracies, because that's what a representative is. They are elites. I'm okay with that so long as I get a direct say in who those elites are. Under the Electoral College system, I don't. And under an Electoral College system, there's a middleman between me and the elite I want to appoint.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I don't see the problem in that, though.
You asked my problem. I mean,
Okay.
all I can do is break this down. Well, so let me break this down for you philosophy-wise.
Mm-hmm.
The fairest system of democracy, in my view, is the one where the person who gets the most votes wins the election. And ultimately, this entire issue comes down to modernizing the way we elect our leaders. We are still stuck on 18th century solutions that do not make sense today. We have had 5 elections where the loser ends up winning. Again, 9% of presidents who've become this way even though they had fewer votes. This is not an ideal institution. This is a coin flip. It's Russian roulette with the country's head, and I'm not satisfied with that.
Look, there is no ideal institution. Everything is...
No.
It's all of this politics inherently are kind of bullshit. This is just trying to make the best of what we have, and I do believe that if you're talking about a democracy, this is what you got. This is the best you got. Sorry.
The stream can't hear me, but you guys can.
Damn it!
I'm
so easily distracted.
I know, me too. What I had said was, my idealized system is one where the person who gets the most votes wins, and that by having a system where we can reward the loser, we're playing Russian roulettes with the country's head, because we can get a demagogue elected who nobody wanted.
Trump is not a demagogue, and
I'm not saying he is.
of
I'm just
people
saying we
wanted
could
him.
under this. Okay, I'm not. Okay, well, let's say nobody, and even remove Trump. If I were to commit a coup d'etat in this country, if I wanted to be supreme leader of the United States of America, I would target the Electoral College to do it, because those are these are the people who determine the future of the country. And it's not you and me. It's not the regular people. It's people between you and I who act on our behalf.
Yes, that's how government works. That is how democracy works.
No,
we have
no.
to
Again,
accept that.
That's a nice pivot, but that's just not true. The way democracy works is that the
democracy, you got to do that.
The way democracy works is that the person who gets the most votes wins the election. Democracy is majority rules. You're not describing. You're describing like democracy's bastard child. We're using a system that other places just don't use. It's antiquated.
Really? And
really?
then
Yes, really, it's antiquated.
No. Well, hang on. I know the systems that other places use, but hang on. What you said confuses me a little bit, because what we actually do is elect people to do exactly what you said, to vote for us. There is a middle ground there. This is the way this works in every aspect of our government. A direct democracy, what does that get? That gets tons of people who are still incredibly unhappy with their government system. Look at places like France and Germany and the UK. For fuck's sake. The UK in particular is a great example of so many people being completely disenfranchised and feeling like they have no choice because they're offered 2 options that are shit, not like we've never been there. But they feel like they have no options and no ability. But isn't that more the system that you're asking for? Is a parliamentary system?
That's the system you're asking for. That is in effect what the Electoral College is.
Electoral College is not parliament.
It's very similar. 538 votes. How do you think they get to that number? Where do you think 538 votes comes from?
It's based on the population.
It's based on the number of representatives you have. 2 senators and 1 congressman.
Which is based on the population of each state.
Except your senators aren't. You also default on 2 senators. Our system, I mean, again, this goes back to the history of it, but our founding... and I must stress this again, you're not even defending the system our founders established. It's an entirely different system. A case for abolishing the Electoral College in favor of a national popular vote system could be found historically. If you it has been changed so many times from its original design. The system you defend today is not the same system the founders had planned. The Electoral College made no mention of electors basing their votes on that of the people's.
don't get me started on that. I agree that everything that we have in this country right now as systems are not what the founders planned, and I don't agree with most of it. I have been actually generally a libertarian and still consider myself to be a libertarian or whatever. And so, I by that I mean a Jeffersonian libertarian, and in many ways. So no, I do support what they believe, but what we have is not anywhere close to that. How many things would we have to change to get closer to it? Countless. Okay?
Right. Well,
so
that's my point. You're not even defending the system the founders set up. You're defending an entirely different system.
I'm not. Okay. I'm defending what we have as being preferable to direct democracy.
Okay.
I'm not defending it as perfect. I'm defending it over mob mentality, which is what direct democracy is.
Yeah.
Direct democracy is a mob mentality rule. It is. There is nothing in place. I mean, I don't know how much worse it could be, but I do think it would be fundamentally worse.
Well, Switzerland uses a direct democracy system. I mean, they use.
And Switzerland is almost 100% homogenous.
Okay.
Switzerland also has the highest gun ownership in the world.
Okay, so it would work if we're 100% homogenous?
I'm not going to make the ethno-state argument, but that is the argument that white nationalists make, yeah.
Well, it's a stupid argument.
Hang on. Whoa. Hang on. You bring up Switzerland, where they have a direct democracy, right?
As an example that direct democracy is not by its design intended to fail. Like, if you're worried about mob rule, why, again...
But they are one. But then we get back to the homogeneity argument and about the incredibly vast, disparate nature of the states in the U.S. versus a country like Switzerland, which is not only small in size, small in population, but completely, pretty much homogenous.
Okay, well, if they were that homogenous, they wouldn't need elections, would they?
What?
Does Switzerland,
hang on, what?
If they were homogenous, they wouldn't need elections. If they were so politically homogenous that their ideas never changed, they wouldn't need elections.
No, that's not what I said. That's not what I meant either. Okay. What I said...
Democracy hinges on the idea that people are going to have different ideas. That's the point of democracy. People will think differently. I don't want a homogenous democracy. That's not a democracy at all. If everybody thinks the same way, there's no point in it being a democracy.
But that is, I believe, what you want, because you want that... You do not believe that certain ideas should be viewed if they're in the minority.
No, again, you were strongmanning me. I've said the exact opposite. I said every idea should be evaluated on its own merit, and everybody should have a vote in those ideas equally. If you're in the minority or versus the majority, everybody's vote should count equally. An equal vote is the great equalizer between the minority and the majority.
Okay, I have to decompress some of this, because I'm still kind of hung up on the Switzerland thing, which is sort of blowing my mind.
Well,
because I think you kind of just advocated for a white ethno-state.
Yeah.
I mean, advocated for it, but
No.
supported why it works.
I think that's a cute pivot, but I don't think that's what
I'm
I
not.
did.
No. It's not even a pivot. I'm actually taken aback by it.
I wasn't advocating for an ethno-state. I was using Switzerland as an example that institutions based on direct democracy can work. You're adding the caveat that it only works because Switzerland's homogenous. Well, if they're that homogenous, it's not really a democracy.
Well,
I mean, let me ask.
That's illogical. You can be homogenous and still have a democracy. Do you understand what homogeneity means? I'm not trying to be insulting to you. I'm actually asking when I say
condescending. Yes, I understand.
I mean, homogeneity can mean multiple things. In terms of Switzerland,
I was
it's
talking
homogeneity
politically
of culture.
homogenous.
In terms of Switzerland, they are culturally and mostly racially, if you want to call it that, homogenous.
Yeah.
Sure. Now, if we talk about the United States, we can say culturally, politically.
Well, we're not homogenous,
locally?
but that's kind of the point of the United States. It's a conglomeration of different states. We will never be homogenous, but that's what makes democracy so great. It's about evaluating different ideas from a full pool of ideas and getting the best one by a majority vote. So I must ask again, people have bad ideas, right? Don't vote for bad ideas. That's your answer.
You'll never get people to, as I've been explaining since the beginning, you'll never get people to not vote for bad ideas.
I know, but this is an entitlement. I think your ideas are bad, Aydin. Should your ideas count for less than mine because I think your ideas are bad?
No, but I think I'm a free speech absolutist, and I believe everyone should have their...
Oh, you're not if you support the Electoral College. I mean, voting is a tenet of free speech.
Hang on. So hang on.
Okay.
Supporting the Electoral College is denial of free speech?
Yes, because it denies like half the country a voice at all.
But you still voted. Your vote did still count. You lost.
No, it didn't.
Yeah, the fact is, you lost.
Okay.
You gotta get over it at some point, dude.
That's another cute pivot. Why can't we discuss the Electoral College on its own merits? You keep bringing up the election, and I'm not.
I'm actually not. I'm saying...
You're asserting I'm motivated by a loss.
Okay.
The Electoral College, and I said earlier that might very well be true on an unconscious level, but still, we can talk about how the institution functions in modern day and whether it's necessary.
Okay, when I said you lost, I mean people lose. This is a win-lose game.
Sure.
We have to accept sometimes that we lose. And the thing is, we've lost. By say we, I mean me, right? I'll use the royal we on this. I wasn't a fan of George W., okay? I didn't vote for him. I didn't vote for Obama either. So I've lost plenty of times.
Have you ever lost when you were in the majority? Have you ever lost when you won?
What does that mean?
That means the majority of people voted for a certain candidate and the other person gets the victor. That's what I'm talking about.
Didn't John Kerry win over Bush?
No, did we have a John Kerry presidency?
No, I'm saying, but didn't he technically have more or something?
No,
he had more votes, I believe, and then they had. Oh, it was Al Gore. It was Al Gore, and then they recounted.
Yes. Now, and they recounted. He still had more votes.
So you wanted Al Gore as president?
I want whoever wins the popular vote to be president. You keep trying to frame this in a Republican-Democrat dichotomy. It's whoever wins.
Oh, trust me, I don't think in a Republican-Democrat.
Okay,
I hate
liberal conservative. But what I'm saying is people's ideas should count equally. It doesn't matter where they live. Your ideas should count equal from one person to the next. If you're a free speech absolutist, right, this is what voting is. It's voting for an idea. It's expressing an idea. It's a referendum on what you want as a people. As a whole of the people. I don't believe the country should be a safe space from bad ideas.
The use of safe space is odd to me. What I am talking about is mob mentality. Being bad.
Okay, and you don't want to be in a mob mentality, right? Because mob mentalities are bad ideas and all this stuff.
No, mob mentality is bad. We know this from all the research. Mob rule does not result in good behavior or actions. Now, do I think that... Again, I've admitted this probably a half dozen times to you. Do I think it's fair? No, I admit it's not fair. But life isn't fair. And sometimes we have to make sacrifices and compromises for these things, which is what the Electoral College is a compromise of ensuring that everyone actually does get a vote. Because otherwise, it is true, my friend, certain states would never, ever, ever have their voices heard.
Okay, I don't believe states should have their voices heard in the Senate. I don't believe in a national election states should be having their voices heard. I think in a national election, the whole of the people should be having their voices heard. Right?
I think after this point, I'm going to put you guys back to your corners for a second.
Sure. Mm-hmm. Can I finish what I was saying?
No! Yeah.
Fuck off. Okay, I believe in a marketplace of ideas where you can consider all ideas and the best one wins. I don't believe in electoral handicaps. I don't believe... to me, it's authoritarian to value somebody as less than me because they think differently than me. I don't want institutional advantages. I want to be equal to you.
You are equal to me.
But I'm not. You live in a different state.
You select your senators.
Okay.
I select my senators. We're equal. And yeah, if you are so angry about it, then move to a state that you think that your vote matters in. And what would you do? What would you do if you could move to any state? Where would you move? I'm just saying. You're as a liberal.
I wouldn't move. I love Texas.
Hang on, real quick. Let me please finish my point.
Yeah.
Where would you move? To California that always votes blue? To New York that always votes blue? How would that help them? To a swing state? Maybe you could try that. But I mean, that's it.
I wouldn't do
What?
any of that because I like where I live. I love Texas. I think this is a beautiful state. And even for all the lunacy that Republicans bring to it, I think it makes the state entertaining just as much as it is embarrassing.
I love West Virginia for all of the Democrats who live here, and
but
it's
this is
full
what
of
I'm
them.
saying is I don't want people to be penalized based on where they live.
That's just kind of a flaw of look. None of these systems are going to be perfect again. So
why are you defending a system that you don't define as perfect? Cover yourself in a veil of ignorance and make me the perfect system. What is the perfect system?
I don't think there is a perfect system because such a thing is
Make
inherently
me a better system then. Cover yourself.
I told you monarchy.
Okay, I thought that was a joke. Okay.
No, libertarian monarchy. With individual feudal states being able to rule themselves.
Oh,
yeah,
that's interesting.
All right, let me put you guys back here.
On the corner.
All right, 15 minutes. Cult of Krill throws 2 to say, look at the 2016 county by county map. Tell me you are in favor of the popular vote. That is the quickest way to a civil war. Kevin Leonard throws 2 to say, high population areas attract people who take more from the system than they put in. Lower population areas deserve more voting power in light of this fact. Madrid throws 5 to say, oh, for fuck's sake, LSP, in this, it is the state that determines if the elector is bound. It is the state that determines any possible punishment. Per the 10th Amendment, it is the power of the reserve. It is the power of the reserve to the states, as Aydin just read. Gunfox throws 5 to say the Electoral College favors Dems far more than the GOP. Dems have the top 5 electoral in
I think if that were true, we'd have won.
Right-wing BDSM guy says the greatest description of democracy is 2 foxes and a chicken voting to have for dinner. LM says LSP should relax once we get... Wait, what? LXP should relax once we get Browner. Idiots will vote in his neoliberal Zuckerberg-led technocratic freak fest. Oh my god! If he wants, we will live.
That's the biggest hate boner. Jesus.
Holy shit! That was a good one. Crimson Satyr throws 10 Canadian money. This guy is seriously pissing me off. As an Albertan, my vote literally does not matter when electing the Prime Minister. Ontario and Quebec are all that matter. I wish we had an electoral college. Chicken Sith says he's just mad because he lives in SA.
Huh?
I don't know.
San
Antonio?
San Antonio, yeah.
That's not where I live.
He's just mad because he lives in Austin, San Antonio, Houston, or Fort Worth, and actual Texans like me outnumber him, thus taking our electoral vote.
That's why I like Texas.
Buddy Killer throws 2 to say freedom or fairness, can't choose both. C. Thomas says most of the U.S. lives on the coast. The Electoral College hamstrings the states like living in California from just inflating the numbers, letting illegals vote. Popular vote in our country turns into mob rule. We give non-whites 3/5 of the vote, obviously. Water Jabbers says it's a popular vote system on... I think I read that one already. No. It's a popular vote system on a state-by-state basis because we are a union of states. Again, you don't understand our system of government. LM says, look up the faithless electoral law retard. And let me just refresh this. What states are signed to the compact LSP mentioned? And shit, they're coming in as I'm reading them. Are Chinese ideas that are 3 times as correct as U.S. ones? From are Chinese ideas? Oh my god! Are Chinese ideas are 3 times as correct as U.S. ones? What?
Yes.
Yes. Foreign did a raid in my ghetto area. BLM disappointed criminals compiled with police orders after the flashbang was thrown, so no BLM martyrs. Oh, yes, I actually heard about that. And Madrid throws 5 to say, LSP, if you believe in the marketplace of ideas, why are you advocating for a system that means the populations of only a few cities would determine the nation's politics, not even an entire state?
That's cute.
I think saying it's cute is reductive and diminutive.
I did actually have
it is, but let me
something I wanted to add, but I can't.
Because you did that to me too, but I think that
I don't
it
mean
really
to-
is.
What were you guys talking about right before?
I don't remember now.
Can I respond to that? Okay, so I didn't bring this up because this seems like it's a little too complicated, but I actually have this on the sources that I sent to Sinatra, and I'll send it to you, Aydin. But basically, if you take the population of the 10 most populous cities in the country, which includes LA, Chicago, New York City, all that stuff, I compiled them from Ballotpedia. Top 10 most populous cities is 21 million people. The total votes cast in 2016 was 135 million people. So this idea that you could win by capitalizing on these populous cities is just not even true. I mean, that's even assuming all of them vote for you, which we know won't happen.
I remember what I wanted to bring up.
Yeah, go ahead.
If you could do away with the Electoral College, but there is absolutely, positively, no way anybody without an American ID could vote, would you do that?
We got off that point, right?
Huh? Hang on. If there was no if I could do away with the Electoral College but require an ID to vote, would I prefer that?
Yeah, there's absolutely no possible way of voter fraud.
Yeah, I think I would prefer that.
That means no illegal. Oh my God! Why is my microphone dropping so low?
I don't think illegals vote anyway, but
nothing.
it would equalize the system as I see it.
Well, I mean, they do. Every recounted state showed a bigger margin of illegals voting, I believe.
I can explain. Well, no, they didn't. I can explain why that happened.
I didn't even bring up this point because I knew that it would be contended.
No, yeah, this is just going to get stuck in the mud. I was just giving him if you could do this, would you do this thing?
Yeah, I think so. I mean, I don't know, but I think so.
All right, well, what if we just nuke New York?
I don't like the idea of nuking Americans, but I'm patriotic.
I mean, they're New Yorkers. They're not really Americans. Yeah, go ahead, guys. Go ahead.
Clever.
Okay, I guess don't go ahead. That's fine.
Oh.
Cult of Kill throws 2 to say, what states signed up to the compact, LSP? And Super Smashy Faction says, are Chinese ideas more correct because they have 1 billion people? LSP seems to think more people equals ideas winning on their own merit. That is the ad populum fallacy, I think. But
no, I believe, and correct me if I'm wrong, but you're admitting, LSP, though, that it's not that it's a better idea, that it's maybe a more retarded idea, but that we should just let people make the stupid choice, just based on the most people who agree with it.
I don't want to be protected by bad ideas on an institutional level. I want to be responsible for determining which ideas I can vote for. So, I mean, like, as a whole of the people...
You can vote for them, though.
Right, but I want my vote to count equally to other people, which is a sticking point. I'm not a fan of protecting people from bad ideas. I think if you vote yourself in bad ideas, you have to deal with the bad ideas.
Yeah, I guess that my only I think that we're going to get stuck on this, and I don't know if there's going to be any resolution to it, but I think that the couple of points that we've raised here that are salient are I don't think it's good to just let mob mentality rule. That would be my point behind that. And that we do actually have direct democracy in many ways. It's the only thing we don't have it on is the presidency. And I don't understand why it's such a big deal if we have this one thing where we have another system of checks and balances that we still vote for, our electors, okay? We still vote for them, and they still have consequences if they fuck up, potentially. It's just never happened because it's never happened. But we have these checks and balances still in place to select, to choose to not select the president that the people chose for. Just as the senators can choose to not vote within their and get through my closing statement, I guess, or whatever this is. But we have tons of shit in place in order to protect people, in order to protect democracy, and in order to ensure that there's a little bit less stupidity than there would be otherwise. Also, yeah, I'm sorry that I don't think we have covered this, and I didn't think it was important to the debate to really go into too much about the voter ID laws, but that's a whole other issue. about the fraud because I don't really care. I don't think it's important to the idea of the philosophy behind it. But I think that we have enough in place for such that the current system is efficient. It's not perfect. It's efficient.
What does that mean, efficient?
It allows for such that, look, okay, I believe by your perception, if it was the way that you think it is, how could Democrats have ever won? Because the red states, right? They have so much. They have so much control. These red states, quote unquote. Then why did Obama win? Why did Bill Clinton win?
Because
this
they
is
won
very
the
silly.
majority of electoral votes.
But why would they have done that if the whole issue is that these red states are somehow in control?
I don't think I said red states were in control. I think I said electors were in control. But I said red states have more power under this system than blue states do, which is an important difference.
But blue states have the most electoral votes.
Right, but the least votes per person.
So it's kind of like, so just you can win money betting on this all day that California the Democrat, oh my god, what the fuck, the Democrat is just gonna win California.
Yeah,
right,
pretty much.
So it's 2/5 oh my god, shit, hold on, 2/5 of the electoral vote, or 2/5, 1/5 of the electoral vote already is going straight to the Democrats.
Yeah.
So why, if they are out of the gate getting 1/5 of the votes, why isn't it okay to make a place that can't equalize those numbers make their vote counts just as much?
I'm sorry, could you repeat that last question?
If there's a state that doesn't have the same numbers as California, why is it wrong to have their votes count as much as the Californians?
Well, because it doesn't make their vote count for as much as the Californians. It makes their vote count for more than the Californians. So I don't believe that states should have votes in the Electoral College system. I believe that people should have votes. People should have a direct say in who gets to be the leader. But this is redundant because I feel like we've already covered this.
Yeah, that's why I was trying to make like a closing, or I was trying to encapsulate all of my points, because I feel like we're gonna just, at this point, we're going to, it's been 2 hours
Right.
almost, and we're gonna be going in circles. I think that on this point, we're gonna have to agree to disagree.
Oh yeah.
I just don't. I knew that was gonna be the case. It happens, man. But I'm all, but
Well-
yeah, I think this has been fine. If you have any closing statements you want to add,
Is that all right,
of
Sinatra?
course.
Yeah.
Okay. My idealized system is a system. There is no perfect system. I will grant you there is no such thing as a perfect system. I would prefer a system that is fairer. My ideal system of democracy, my ideal government is a government that is governed with the consent of the governed. You call yourself a conservative and you want government small. I want it smaller in that I don't want somebody between me and my vote. I don't want somebody who determines who leads on my behalf. You talk about voter fraud as a means of protecting us, like the Electoral College protects us from voter fraud. I see the reverse as a problem. In fact, I see foreign influence being a problem. Perhaps one of the strongest lessons we could have taken away from the... Motherfucker, shut the fuck up. Perhaps
You can't be serious.
let him make his closing statement.
Okay.
I made mine.
If I am Russia and I favor one candidate over the other, I would have an easier time propagandizing to people only in a select few states versus the entire country. A byproduct of the Electoral College is that since only a few states necessarily determine the outcomes of the elections, it is easier for a foreign power to influence us. It is easier for voter fraud to influence us. If you want to talk about the integrity of the election, it's being destroyed by the electoral system that you're supporting. Yeah, I think that's what I got.
Okay, so you're really just gonna pull the Russia thing out?
Well, it's kind
I
of the
don't
voter
think
fraud
it's
thing.
a good way to end on shit.
Well-
but like, well, you know that it
I
just
saw
got
some of these
debunked completely.
posts. I saw some of these posts that were Russian paid for from Facebook. Dude, they had like 30 likes. These posts were nothing.
Cool. That's the
I
ones you
mean-
know of.
Well, hang on. Let me. Oh God, I thought we were ending this.
Yeah, let's end this.
But really quickly, I do want to just say, I find it a little odd that it matters where people campaign, and they only campaign in the swing states, but we've shown that it apparently doesn't matter because, they both campaigned in Florida and Ohio and Pennsylvania.
Yeah.
But Russian bot posts on Facebook with 30 likes influence. Let me tell you, as someone who's let me tell you, as someone who's studied persuasion for about 10 years now. Nah. Oh, nah.
What?
No.
People are smart enough to stand up to the propaganda. Come on.
No, Cialdini 1984, Cialdini 2016 on the updated version. You can see all of the research on persuasion. That's just the most basic pieces. Those are books I just cited for you. Robert Cialdini, check him out. He would also probably laugh at that. I don't know. He might be a lefty, but he probably hasn't said anything about it.
Okay,
but he would laugh.
Basic human psychology is that people operate on heuristics, and I'm sorry, what's that?
I'll make a deal with you, LSP.
Yes, sir.
When we can keep Jewish money and Qatari money out of the pockets of the Democrats, we'll start worrying about those Russian Facebook posts, okay?
Ho-ho.
Okay.
Does that sound fair?
You got it, Goy.
All right.
Sinatra's a good goy. Anyway, this was actually fun. Thank you, LSP. And
it's always a pleasure having you on, LSP.
Yeah, I appreciate it.
Yeah, it was interesting. Even though we don't agree, I don't have any no animosity. Of course, I think this was pleasant.
I always have an open door to LSP. He's a good guy.
I appreciate that. Thank you, guys.
You can stick around for the super chats if you want. There's just a handful. Not sure if you want to respond to them.
Chat loves me.
Okay. Cult of Krill says, for 2, this is fun. Do it again. LM says, I hope this man wants to outlaw APAC. 7 states signed on the NPVIC. Excuse me, LSP. Are we sure LSP isn't one of them?
Oh.
His hat dance seems rather tumultic to me.
Talmudic.
Go fuck yourself. Moon did vote for a very bad idea. His name was Obama, and now Trump is fixing his mistakes. What if the majority wanted to legalize kid fucking? And I read that one. Yes. Let me refresh this right here. And Madrid, or I think that, that's it. Just those couple. Cool. That's it.
Cool.
Right-wing BDSM guy just now says, if you want to worry, Sinatra, you should worry more about labor union spend on Democrat. I know.
The labor union stuff is so fucked, man.
That is insane, that labor union money. Fucking billions.
If you guys want to get behind publicly financed campaigns, I will support you 100% in that endeavor.
Well, yeah, you can finance whatever you want. The problem is that with the unions, I don't even want to talk about unions. It's this whole goddamn, it's a nightmare. Again, I know that I have a very particular viewpoint and stance, being from where I am. And I fucking hate unions. Now I understand why. My grandfather was the biggest union guy. He was a full-on socialist. I understand where it comes from. I just I do not agree with how I've seen the outcomes play out. Yeah, a little bit.
All right. Okay,
anyway.
I think that's a good place. I'll just chat to the chat if you guys want to stick around or what.
I will, but yeah.
We'll do the obligatory vote. Put a 1 for Aydin,
I gotta wait to yell at these guys.
a 2 for Liberal Sanity Project. Son, apologize for wasting Aydin's time. Oh shit.
Jesus.
Medicare, Ice Poseidon is calling out Mr. Medicare. Oh
boy.
That'll end well.
Fucking call me after. Let's watch this dumpster fire.
Did you see the clip I played this morning of the guy who was a Medicare fan just walking around like trying to ask Poseidon if he was a Jew and pointing at his nose?
Yeah, that was hilarious.
LM throws 2 to say public unions. Okay. It's $2 to say public unions, I guess. Thank you. And the chat's gone. It's a lot of ones from one person, actually.
Yeah, of course.
Frankly, Nunyabiz says 2 to be nice. So you
I'm
got
seeing a decent number of 3s, which is I believe that it was a stalemate.
I was. Yeah, it was a good showing. It was a good showing.
I'm not
Yeah.
I'm not an aggressive. I'm not a debater, nor am I aggressive. So it's like I'm not the person to bring on V1 Blood.
You guys are being too nice, so I had to say something mean. So I said that Israeli line.
I tried to restrain myself. I'm on it with a hostile audience.
You have an ocelot?
No, I said I am dealing with a hostile audience.
Oh, I thought you said you had an ocelot.
I
I
heard that
fucking
too.
love an ocelot. No, I got a regular house cat. Sorry.
Babu.
He was about to ask, is its name Babu?
Eric Mo said Aiden's a tight dick player. I fuck okay.
But she's
Awesome. All right, I'm gonna go ahead and shut it down. Thank you. Yeah. Thank you guys for coming and hanging out. Thank you, Liberal Sanity Project. You show your shit in the chat if anyone wants to go check him out. He does make better content than he does arguments. And
Oh no, it was fine. No, it was.
Motherfucker.
And I didn't know shit. I'm not a fucking. I didn't. By the way, I didn't like prepare or anything, so I'm a retard on this aspect. I just yeah, like I just have I have an opinion on it. I could be completely fucking wrong. So you prepared more than I did.
you guys,
Well, I'm a little more.
It was all good.
That's
if
all.
you guys aren't subbed to these two, I don't know what you are doing. And I'll see you back here tomorrow morning, 8:15 for the morning bullshit. And we'll see you guys again. Black people are criminals.
Are we off?
Yep, we're clear.
Okay, thank you so much for having me on, guys. That was
Yeah,
fun.
sorry again. It took like a week, but it was fun. It was fun.
Yeah, I fucking
We don't agree,
destroyed
so.
you with facts and reason.
Dab on the haters.
Sorry that I mean, like the chat's gonna be what the chat is. I've been on other people's channels, obviously, so I understand.
I love it. I relish in their hatred.
Well, I mean, like, obviously, I ruined you, man. Fucking debunker.
Yeah.
No, but no, it's actually very pleasant and enjoyable.
Yeah. In all seriousness, that was you challenged me pretty nicely.
We talked about a lot of this stuff this weekend, and you had citations I didn't know because I'm a social scientist. I'm a scientist.
Yeah.
But I'm retarded on literally everything else. So yeah, that's my thing.
My degree is in political science. I don't know how much that gives me on the credential points.
Well, mine's like it might as well be in garbage. So
Mine's an amateur porn connoisseur.
Can I have a link?
Oh. Yeah, speaking of which, post your Pornhub account. Or what? No, your
I do
Pornhub
have a Pornhub account.
I know, it's what I was saying.
Yeah, I upload to Pornhub.
Wait, seriously?
Seriously.
Where he uploads his porn to.
No, not my porn.
His
I upload
porn
my videos.
or
no?
Oh,
I
okay.
upload my content to Pornhub.
Yeah. Yes, his content, his pornographic content.
Getting around the YouTube censorship, boys.
Wait, is something happening live right now with this shit with Ice Poseidon?
I don't know. Let me take a look. I'm not sub to Ice Poseidon because I have standards.
Oh fuck no! Fuck that shit, man. Anyway, I did just want to thank you for being polite and.
He is live right now, but it says he's locked in a closet.
Like Asian Andy?
Yeah, I think.
He said he was doing the Asian Andy thing. Someone told me that on Twitter that he was gonna.
He's locked in a closet with.
Aaron.
Yeah.
Really? I just guessed. Oh my god.
Asian Andy followed me today.
Ooh, aren't you a special boy?
Yeah.
You feeling proud of yourself?
Yeah.
All right, bitches. I'm ducking out. I appreciate both of you. Thank you for hosting this.
No
Yeah,
problem,
thanks. Good to talk to you, man. Bye bye.
Later.